Hello, NextGen Nation. So for the final time, I want to welcome you all to the keynote sessions for the NextGen Virtual Summit. I can't believe it's coming to a close already, but don't go anywhere because we have two incredible speakers lined up to close out this year's summit.
Yes, we do. And I'm not going to say we've saved the best for last, but we certainly have. And I just, before we get to these wonderful keynotes, want to send a quick message because I want to thank our attendees for being with us today, because we know it's not easy to prioritize professional development, especially with everything that is going on in your world and in the government space right now. So we can't thank you enough for attending today, but more importantly, for the essential work that you do every day. Government employees are out there, you are doing mission critical work, and you are making this nation run. And so for that, we just wanted to say, we appreciate you, we value you, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you all so much for sharing your time with us today. And to honor you, we wanted to make a quick note that we are opening up our NextGen Public Service Awards for nominations, like right now, this very minute. Our NextGen Awards are open. So GovLoop is proud to host the NextGen Public Service Awards. They honor superior public service and achievement each year as part of our NextGen Government Training Summit. The awards recognize deserving individuals selected from the public service community for their intelligence, exuberance, and dedication to improving and invigorating government, something I know all of you are doing. Nominations will be accepted from now through July 1st, so you've got a little bit of time to play around with, and award winners will be notified the week of August 1st, and the category winners will be honored at the NextGen Government Training Summit that's taking place on September 21st. So spoiler alert, this is not going to be our only NextGen of the year. In fact, we are doing a whole nother summit this fall, and we'll be telling you all about that at the end of today's training. So with that in mind, I do want to bring up our first poll question of this last session. And for this one, we really want to know, are you feeling appreciated and ready to go back to your day-to-day job tomorrow? And I know for a lot of you, you've been doing your day-to-day job while attending today. So give us a quick ranking here for this poll. And while we do, Sheila, why don't you introduce us to our first closing keynote?
Absolutely. Thanks, Emily. So first up, to talk about how to confront and eliminate unconscious bias in the workplace is Ty Smith. Ty is the Director of Partnership for the Common Mission Project. Ty has over 25 years consulting and leading executives and their teams to help them understand human and organizational dynamics. Currently, he's the Director of Partnership for the Common Mission Project, whose mission is to create an international network of entrepreneurs driven to solve the critical challenges of our time. Prior to that, he was a senior consultant to the Department of Defense.
Awesome. Well, we will get to Ty in just one short second, and he definitely earns the snappiest dresser of the Summit Award with that bow tie. It is coming in hot. I just want to give our folks a few more seconds to take the poll. So I'll give you 5 more seconds to grab this poll, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get the results. And it looks like, yes, 55% will round up, give ourselves the benefit of the doubt here, are feeling inspired and ready to go back to your day-to-day jobs tomorrow, which is wonderful to see. And I know someone who is going to leave us with a ton of inspiration is our speaker. So Ty, I will hand things over to you.
Well, thank you all, and welcome everybody as we begin to talk about this idea of unconscious bias. And so I've been thinking about this for a while. And so you all could go anywhere to get some unconscious bias training. It's pretty simple. You just sign up, you go online, you go in person. But I want to flip this around. I want to talk about the bias of your unconscious. The bias of your unconscious. Or more specifically, the power of being present with yourself. Power of being present with yourself. And so if you want to figure out where I'm at, you can go to that QR code on the right-hand side, just take a picture of it, and that'll get you to my LinkedIn page. You can find me there. On the left-hand side is what I do. That's just me. I figured out if I'm going to do this in another way that go in, that's me. Doesn't really mean anything other than it's my business. And so let's get started. Oh, that's me. And so here's a question, and I'm going to ask you all to take some time to go to the poll and answer this question. Are biases bad? Just go. Just type in the attendee chat, are biases bad? Just start typing away. Are biases bad?
We will give them a few seconds. They're just a few seconds behind where we are, Ty. So we got to give them a little bit of a second to catch up. It looks like we got
them now.
Yep, there we go.
Awesome. Depends. Yes, no, sometimes. It is all of those, you all. Biases aren't inherently bad. As a matter of fact, in the time that we sat here, you all had to take a lot of information in. All over the place. If you've been here all day, you've taken in gigabytes of information. Gigabytes of information. As a matter of fact, there's a study that would suggest the human brain unconsciously, this is important, unconsciously processes 11 million bits of information per second. But you can only consciously process 40 of those bits of information. So some way you have to discriminate from all of the information that's coming your way. How do I take this stuff in? What do I do with it? How do I make sense of it? Because otherwise you could go crazy. You could literally drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how to manage all of that information that comes your way. So I have a question for you. What does a therapist look like? What does an author look like? What does a caring, committed person look like? You have to think through that. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a poll with me. Which one of these gentlemen is a therapist? Which one of these gentlemen is a therapist?
All right, so take a gander at these pictures, and then I'm going to bring up the poll. So you have person A on the left, person B on the right. So here is your polling question, and we will leave this up for about 30 seconds or so. And I think a couple people are onto your way of thinking, maybe, Ty, in the attendee chat, but we'll just have to wait and see what the results of the poll look like here in the end. We'll give them a few more seconds to take this poll.
I love the one that says the one in the middle.
I mean, we're government employees. You gotta find the needle in the haystack sometimes, or the way through the mess. All right, I'm gonna give it 5 more seconds, folks. 5 more seconds, and then we're gonna get the results of the poll. We need some poll hold music for sure. All right, here we go.
Interesting. The one on the left. The one on the left, folks said that is the therapist. I appreciate what you said, that maybe folks are onto something, right? This is Andrew Horning, the one on the right. He is a podcast host. He is a psychotherapist. He's a published author. He does mediation and dispute resolution. He's a basketball coach. He's a social activist. This is Dr. Dwight Turner. Dr. Dwight Turner is a senior lecturer in the university. He's a practicing psychotherapist. He's a lecturing counselor on psychotherapy education. He's a social activist. He's a clinical supervisor, and he's a published, well-respected author. But this is what happens to Dr. Dwight. He's been reminded of when I was told I look more like a bouncer than a psychotherapist. I look more like a bouncer than a psychotherapist. And so what does that mean about how people are taking him in and then treating him? Remember this, how people are taking in him and treating him. How are they making sense of who he is? How are they looking at this figure and saying, you must be this or that? How do we make sense of all of this? There's one way that we can do it. We can do it the clinically research-driven way. This is Marjane Banaji. She is a practicing psychologist out of Harvard. She developed something called the implicit association test. And basically, it looks at pictures and words and tries to match them. They ask people to match the words, the concept, black, gay, and the evaluation, good and bad, with the stereotype, and to find out the things that people hold unconsciously, out of their awareness or control. And so it looks for the difference between an explicit bias and an implied bias. An explicit bias is the one that you see operating in the environment between two people. The implied bias is the one that is operating in the unconscious realm, ones that you could never really sometimes associate because it's unconscious. And so you end up with all of these things. Somebody, Luana, look, can be deceiving. You're exactly right. But you also end up with all of these opportunities to look at unconscious bias. Things are implied, things around gender, things around judgment. What is conscious? What is unconscious? What's a stereotype? And so today we want to talk about how do we address those? How do we get to the unconscious part of our bias by examining the bias of our unconscious, by rewriting maybe some of those scripts. Why is this important? Because the impact of unconscious bias means that you may end up with an employee base that is 3 times likely to be disengaged. That's $500 billion in value, in productivity because of this. It impacts retention. People want to leave. 3 times as likely to leave because of the biases that they experience. And it impedes innovation. 2.5 times, over 2.5 times more likely to withhold ideas that could actually drive that kind of innovation that you're looking for. That's what we're looking for. I appreciate there's been some conversation, particularly by Adam Bricker and Mr. Kittle, about what innovation might look like. And it'd be interesting to think about what would happen if we could really unpack some of this stuff. So I think there might be a pathway to understand what we could do about it and do for ourselves. And I call this sense making, myth making, and deal making. Sense making, myth making, deal making. So how do we make sense of all this? We start off with sense making. When you were born, you were cool. Everything was fine. There was no difference between you and your mother. No difference. But as soon as you were born, you had to start making sense of the world. I'm outside. I'm not taken care of anymore. It's not warm. I'm not getting fed. Now I have to make sense of who's going to feed me, who's going to protect me. Infants do that automatically. You did that. You started making sense of the world. And as you started making sense of the world, remember 11 million bits of information per second, that's where you started thinking about what does all of this mean? And because you did not have a cognitive framework as a baby to think about all this stuff, it got stored in your brain as an unconscious thought because it was particularly out of your awareness or consciousness. It became an automatic part of what you did. If you cried, somebody came to feed you. Cool, I love it. If you giggled, somebody made faces at you. I love it. If you cried and nobody came, what does that mean? Those are started the things. You're starting to make sense of the world. And now you can start to do some discrimination, not the legal term, but the idea of who's in, who's out, it's good, it's bad. It's a predisposition for or against something. And as you got older, you started to make even more of these discriminations. And that then, in sense making, leads to the unconscious bias. So now, to make even more sense of those 11 million bits of information, you start to categorize those things in terms of stereotype about people, about events, about behaviors. All of those things start to become a rote part of your interaction with other people. They are part of the unconscious stuff that's happened way back when you were born. and it's just carried on today. It helps you understand the world, because you all said that biases are not bad. But what we do with those biases, that's when they start to make impact. That's when they start to make impact. So, sense making. After I've started to make sense of the world, I start to do what? In the absence of really confirmed, disconfirming data, when I don't have enough information, what do? I make it up. That's when we start to make myths about what we see. Unconscious myths. Unconscious myths. So if you go back to the title of this particular talk, it's about the bias of the unconscious, not unconscious bias, but the bias of the unconscious. And so in order for us to kind of understand that, we need to take a quick trip to the unconscious, in terms of myth making. Most of you know who this guy is. Who is this dude? 15 seconds. Somebody drop it in the chat, please. Who is this guy right here? Anybody? Well, if not, I'm going to tell you. It's Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychotherapy. He's that dude. He's that guy. Yep, Freud. There you go. All these folks are laying out. You got it. He's the one the guy laid out this idea of the ego. We all know our ego, right? We all know our ego. That's the thing that says, I'm cool, you're not. They stink, I'm better. But the ego and the id, which is the thing that kind of just makes us want to like punch people in the face, right? That's a part of the unconscious. But then there's this thing that kind of mediates between the two that they call the superego. And they ride at different levels. Our conscious level, remember, explicit versus implied. Our preconscious level, the one that when it hits us in the face, we're like, whoa, what was that all about? And our unconscious is the one that goes, I have no access to it until I'm very much told about it. I'm very much told about it. And so let's consider what happens when we see these interactions between our id, our ego, and the superego, particularly in our conscious and unconscious life. We start to make sense of the world. We start to have these conversations about, is it real? Is it not? How many of you ever had the conversation with somebody that you say, they don't like me because they didn't talk to me in the morning? Because we have no idea whether or not they had a bad day, whether or not the cat died, whether or not their kids had a fight with their child. All I have is a way to make sense of the world and then make a myth about it. And the myth is driven by me. It is a conversation that I'm having with myself. But I don't want to feel crazy, though, right? And so I want to maintain some sense of wholeness, some sense of righteousness, some sense that I'm a good person. I am a good person. And so we do this thing that babies do. We already know how to do it. Remember, 11 million bits of information per second. We start to split things into categories, And when we split, it's a very immature way of dealing with the intolerable. A very immature way of dealing with the intolerable. It allows us to hold and maintain contradictory information. At the same time, we split it apart because we don't look at what we're really doing. We don't understand what's really going on. We split it apart. And it prevents us from integrating. And this is important. Why? Because if we don't, we end up in black and white thinking. That looks something like this. All or nothing, good, bad, best friend, enemy, love, hate, beautiful, ugly, success, failure, reliable, useless. We split those things. And because we are all humans and we want to make sure that that thing that we were birthed from, remember this stuff is really old and very immature. We want to hold on to the best part of ourselves. And so we do this thing. We all use this term. That's projection. And it really is. You're projecting all the negative stuff onto other people, onto other social groups, onto other incidences, onto other parts of the organization. We project because I have to maintain good because they can't be good as well. So I have to project onto them. Projection is a defense mechanism to protect the ego. Who I am, how I exist, how I think about what's going on. These are primitive things. So how does this projection show up? When and where does it show up? It shows up one way potentially in terms of biases, a gender bias, an affinity bias. I like those people. A halo effect. They are so wonderful. Horn effect. They are so bad. Beautiful effect. They are so beautiful. Or we do confirmation bias. We will look for information to confirm that the projection that I had on other people about them being bad is relevant. It is real. It is outside of me. So I'm just curious about, of the 485 people that are with us today, which are the most powerful biases? This is a poll.
Yep.
Take your time.
Ty, while they're answering this poll, one of the resounding feelings that has been popping up in the attendee chat is people sort of realizing that the unconscious plays such a big role, and we don't necessarily always place that in the right part of our brain. Is there a way to conscious up your unconscious, if that makes any sense?
Yes, absolutely. And that'll be the end of my conversation with you all.
Excellent. We will not give anyone any spoilers then, because this is a stay tuned type of situation then.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll give folks about 10 more seconds here until you are done with this open poll. A lot of people are saying all of them in the chat, which
nope, gotta make a choice.
But we're asking you to choose. This is Sophie's choice here. So make your selections. 5 more seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and get the results. And here they are.
Makes absolute sense to me. That confirmation bias leads the pack. And here's why. Because I will look for information that will make sense, that will allow me to have this conversation that of the myth that I make up about other people and about myself. I will look for information that says, yes, that will soothe my ego, that will allow my unconscious not to bother me. So because if you go back to your high school psychology course, your superego is the one that goes, not, that's not it. And you're looking for information to make sure you don't get attacked, that you don't attack yourself, right? That's what you're looking for. Confirmation bias. So here's what we do about them. We start to unpack the deal, because we've all made deals with ourselves about how we think about the world. And part of that deal making is to have that conversation with yourself. Have that conversation with yourself. This is where it gets hard. Do you have the capacity to be introspective? To look at your moment-to-moment conscious thoughts and feelings, to be aware of your mental state from moment to moment. It is not easy. This is practice. If you wanted an unconscious bias training, great. Make sure you hit the checkbox. I've done all that. But if you want to take the trip to understand how my unconscious facilitates how I deal with other people in my own bias, you need to have this capacity to be introspective. And the way that you do it is you start to unpack the scripts. And so I'm going to end on this. So what does the scripts look like? I have personal scripts. It's the constructs about others and me. These are the constructs, and the constructs. How do I have language? How do I have thoughts about these deals that I've made, the moment-to-moment deals? And so when it comes up, have the courage to say, is this real? When I react to somebody saying something, am I looking for confirmation that they are good or bad when I do this splitting? So your question is, you don't have to chat. I just want you to think about, so what are your personal scripts that you tell about yourself to make sense of your own experience? The next last one is your social scripts. What are the social scripts in your organization? What scripts do you have in your life, in the lives of your organization, that lets you know who's good, who's bad, who's ugly, who's not, who is warm, who isn't? Do I like them or not? Find your own social scripts. Unpack those. And here's why it's important as I wrap up. You don't have to do it, a lot of it. You don't have to focus on it except to have moment-to-moment experiences and challenging yourself. Because if you do 100th better every day, 1% better every day, there is a 38% improvement over a year. But if you don't examine that, I think it may have been Aristotle, the life unexamined is not worth living. If you don't examine those moment-to-moment reactions, thank you, Judith, then you're actually going backwards in the capacity to improve. You don't improve at all. And so make sure that you can be seen and that you see. Thank you for spending some time with me.
Well, thank you, Ty, for spending time with us and sharing your insights. I'm not going to let you walk away yet because I've got 2 quick questions for you. The first someone asked is, what is the best way to communicate that you're moving or trying to move away from confirmation bias? You know, I'm in the moment and I'm trying my hardest. How do I say that and come across the right way?
So there is a guy, and I don't have my book here. I pull it out. I don't have it right handy with me. Peter Senge, The Fifth Discipline. I can ask lots of questions, right? I can maintain my catalytic curiosity. Senge would say we can ask questions and curiosity in 2 ways, an affirming or an inquiry. I can affirm my own guess, or I can be curious about the other. So I can confirm by asking a question, I wonder what I really said about that. Or I can understand, can I connect with another and be curious about what happened between the two of us, so I can figure out whether or not what I threw out there is real, if it's confirming, or it is genuine in terms of me taking back. Remember, you're trying to hold both pieces. Me taking back my projections, me not looking for the confirmation to understand that I'm doing it, but what does it mean? And then unpack that. Little bits at a time. Don't try to go, it ain't about psychotherapy. It's about trying to understand my moment-to-moment interaction so I can reclaim some of the stuff so I don't put it on other people.
Gotcha. All right, final question for you. And I think it might be a difficult one, so don't get mad at me for asking it, but here we go.
Okay.
Someone said, you know, there's this phrase that's always around, assume positive intentions. You're going to assume I'm here and I'm doing my best. How does that phrase work with or counteract with what we're talking about today when it comes to unconscious bias?
So it's a great question. I saw somebody put in the chat, never assume anything, because we know the bad news bear is a word associated with assume. But I think assume good intention, if it's coming from me to another, it's about me being curious about reaching across, right? If I do it really. Because in one way, another way to think about it, I'm assuming good intention is about me. I didn't mean to hurt you. You have to assume, the other needs to assume that I just asked a question. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I wasn't trying to do something awful to you. So could I create a space where I where I do between me and another, help other folks create a space where intention is real and genuine. I have the saying that goes, pay attention to your intention, because your inattention will get you bad attention, right? Pay attention to your intent, because your inattention will get you the attention that you don't want to get.
I think those.
And so I would, please.
No, you continue on.
Now, it's always been a piece for me that even as you assume good attention, what is my intention? What am I intending to give to the other? Is it I want to prove that I'm a good person? That's a projection even in of itself. Don't you understand? I wasn't trying to hurt you. Well, you did, right? Well, that wasn't my intention. Sorry. Then the other person, me, needs to get curious about what happened between the two of us. That's what I have.
I love that. And those are some powerful words to leave us on. There's a lot of sentiment, Ty, that this session could go on for hours, and we totally agree. So make sure you check out his information here and in the resource console as well to learn more along with Ty. Thank you, Ty, so much for bringing your insights to us today. And we've got more wonderful insights coming your way, because I know if you're anything like me, the dreaded networking word comes into play. So we're going to close out today by talking about networking, what you're doing wrong and what you must start doing today. And joining us to close things out is Alex Tremble. Alex is the host of the Executive Appeal podcast, and he began his career managing 3 government-wide senior leadership development programs and quickly went on to establish the Tremble Influence Academy while publishing 2 best-selling books, Reaching Senior Leadership, 10 Growth Strategies Every Government Leader Should Know, and the GPS Guide to Success, geared towards helping leaders gain influence and attain their career success. He is obviously well-versed in this topic. So, Alex, why don't you give us your perspective on what makes up a good networking strategy?
I would like to start off with saying, boo, Ty, boo. How are you going to set me up to try to have to deal with that wonderful talk you just gave? We are no longer friends. no
Sorry, man.
I will do my best, but Ty, we'll be talking later. You did share some wonderful gems. Thank you so much, Emily, for allowing me to be here today. And thank you for all of you who are here today, because the reality is that, a lot of people have uphill hopes, uphill desires, uphill wants, but they have downhill habits. And uphill hope, uphill anything is hard, right? As you go up a mountain, you go up a ladder, you go up some stairs, all those things required effort. They require intent. They require energy. And after a while, we all know if you're climbing up a ladder, if you're walking up a mountain, if you're climbing up stairs, after a while, it's going to start involving pain and uncomfort. So many people have uphill hopes. They want to excel in their career. They want to be the next leader, the next supervisor. They want to become an SES. They have uphill hopes, things that require all those things we just got finished listing, but at the same time, they have downhill habits. They don't want to put in the time. They don't want to be intentional. Things get hard, they get slow. They just stop. And I gotta say, the fact that there are over 400 people right now in this space together right now shows that you all have some uphill in you right now. You're putting in the time. You're being intentional with your time and being here today. So thank you. I have to say that. So I'm going to go really quickly into a quick overview of what I do and why I do what I do. And then we're going to have some Q&A with Emily and myself. Yes, I am the host of the Executive Appeal podcast. That podcast specifically focuses on leaders such as yourself, helping you move into the more executive level positions within any level of the government, whether it be federal, state, local. I am the author of 2 best-selling books, again, one specifically written specifically for government employees such as yourself, again, and helping you understand what your strengths are and how to position yourself to progress. And finally, I'm a public speaker. And so I speak to organizations such as yourself and run leadership development programs focused on helping leaders move up in their career. See, if you hear what I'm talking about, I am not the guy who just wants to throw some random information at you. There are plenty of people who can do that. I like to compare to playing chess and playing checkers. See, so often we come to a training, we attend a training or read something that teaches us how to play checkers. Here are some communication skills. Here's some conflict management skills. Do you feel good inside now? Yay. But they don't actually teach you how to utilize those skills to navigate your career, which most people want to excel. And so I love teaching people how to play chess. That's, again, not just moving the pawn up two or the bishop to the side a few. Knowing how to move and where to move a piece doesn't mean you have a strategy, right? And so what I want to do is I want to teach you all today how to start moving throughout your career with strategy, specifically with networking. So what I want to say is, a few years ago, I did a survey, an online survey. It was also attached with a lot of interviews with executive leaders across the government as well as the private sector, and a good amount of literature review. And what I found is that all of these leaders said the key reason why they were able to be successful was because they had a network. Now, yes, I'm going to talk about that N word that we all want to say. We all want to say the N word. Everyone want to say it together. 1, 2, 3, networking. Oh, my God, doesn't it feel so good to say it, right? See, that's the word we all know is required for us to move up and have to be successful and gather and arrange the resources and people together to overcome these huge problems. But we're also afraid to be talking about networking because it may make us feel sleazy or slimy. But networking is not bad. Networking is nothing more than relationships. And what is relationships good for? Yes, of course, getting jobs. The reality is that there have been a number of studies, a LinkedIn study, I think 2-3 years ago, that showed that 80% of people who get jobs get them on the black market. That means relationships. They weren't applying to jobs online. And if you think that does not count the government, you're sorely mistaken. Because I myself was able to navigate my government career, 7 or 8 different promotions, only applied for one job, and that job was guaranteed, all through relationships. The second thing is, if we want to be talking about DE&I, again, a lot of organizations are creating these programs where we can talk about understanding each other and having some sensitivity to how I want to identify myself and where I want to be and my culture, my background. Those are all really great things. But if we want to move the needle in getting those people into relationships, and getting those people in actual leadership positions where they have the ability to influence policies and programs in their communities as a whole, again, we just got finished talking about how important relationships are. Over 80% of those positions are filled through relationships. So if we're not being intentional at creating those DEI programs and teaching these individuals how to develop those relationships, those influential leaders to move up their careers, we're doing them a disservice. And then the last thing I'll say is the reality is that we all know that negotiations, relationships, we all know that innovation comes from connectivity, and especially in this remote working environment, if you don't have relationships, your innovation actually goes down. And the reality is that research has shown time and time again, if you're not connected to your organization and connects to those individuals within your organization, that the likelihood of you having higher levels of employee unsatisfaction goes up. And if you have a large workforce that is low in job satisfaction, what does that mean? That means higher turnover. So now I want to tell you how we go about creating those intentional strategic relationships. What we did is I created this model called the C4 relationship building model. It's composed of 4 steps, and they need to take place in this order. First is mindset change, next is internal clarity, next is external clarity, and finally is behavior choice. So mindset change is first understanding that networking, building relationships, is not evil. It's not sleazy. It's not a bad thing. And the reality is that if you don't do these things, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing those around you a disservice as well, because the reality is that if the good people don't utilize these skills to get themselves in situations where they can help positively influence policy programs and so on and so forth, who's going to move into those positions? So the reality is that mindset change is the first thing, because it doesn't matter what strategies and tools and things I teach you. If you don't have the right mindset, you will never actually implement any of them. So that's the first thing. The second is internal clarity. Internal clarity is understanding who you are. See, so many people mess up in thinking that in order to be a strategic networker, I need to be this extroverted person who goes and shakes hands with this person, this person, this person. But if you don't know what your goals are, how do you know who to connect with? If you don't know what your strengths are, how do you know how to position yourself so that you're looking confident? Because as research shows, if you look confident, people are more likely to believe you. That's just the reality. If you were Dr. Fauci and you said, I want to say that I believe that masks that masks would be helpful. How many people do you believe would believe him? You gotta have confidence. When you have confidence, you have competence. And when you have confidence, people see that confidence in you, they begin to trust you. So internal clarity is absolutely necessary, right? So you understand who you are, where you feel comfortable, what your strengths are, what resources you have to buy people off. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but that's the reality. People don't like to believe the fact that relationships are purely transactional. Absolutely. Now, again, I can roll down and see what people are saying in the chat, but people are going to believe that, no, Alex, you're crazy. Relationships aren't transactional. I really just like people because they're people. No. If you take an opportunity, again, please put them in the chat box. If you take an opportunity right now, I'm going to ask you a question. Think of someone who you really like, who you're really close with, family member, partner, whoever it may be. Think of someone who you're really close to. Got them in your mind? Let me ask you a question. Are you close to them because they give you stuff? Yes? If you believe yes, then put 1. You believe no, then put 2 in the chat box. Go on. Are you close to those people because they give you stuff? And I'm seeing some yeses. Okay.
I think we got some shy folks, Alex. A lot of ones coming in, and a few 2s sprinkled here and there.
Look, I love you all. Everyone who said no, everyone who said 2, I love you. I'm here for you, but you're wrong. The reality is that you absolutely are close to that person, whether it's your parent, your friend, your significant other, doesn't matter. You're with that person because they provide you with something, whether they provide you with caring, love, time, affection. The reality is that if they weren't providing you with those things, you would not be allocating your time to them. And the reality is that if you were, that's an unhealthy relationship. So you need to understand who you are, what you have access to, so you know what you can give to others. Now, let me keep moving. I know we got a lot of stuff to discuss today. The next thing is external clarity. External clarity is now you focus on who those individuals are. You know that, oh, shoot, I'm interested in being an IT professional in this agency. Now I can say, okay, external clarity, who's over there that I need to talk to? What are they interested in? What groups are they in? Who are their friends? Who are their enemies? What can I do to help them be successful? Again, relationships are transactional. It's not until you have the right mindset, you have the right internal clarity, that then you can be successful with implementing external clarity. Now, again, I'm going to keep this rolling. The last thing is behavior choice. Now, this is the one that everyone loves to talk about. You're going to see a lot of YouTube videos on this. I want to network. Great. Shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, smile, walk across the room. There's a lot of really great strategies that you can utilize. And again, I talk a lot about this in my courses and my talks because these things are proven by research. A lot of research goes into how to influence and build relationships with an individual. But the reality is, if you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what we teach you because you'll never do it. If you don't have the internal clarity, you won't know what resource you have access to. You don't know where you're trying to go. If you don't have external clarity, you're not going to know exactly who it is you need to be building relationships with and how to build that relationship with them and where they're at. So all these things need to happen in this order. Oh, goodness gracious. I love having this conversation. So look, I know I've been talking for a cool minute, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition this over to Emily. We're going to have a quick conversation, answer some questions, and then I'm going to wrap up with hopefully some really cool ideas.
I love it. All right. So if you haven't already, go ahead and post a question in the Q&A portal for Alex. But Alex, we've got a couple folks in here who are struggling in this hybrid environment that we're living in. And I'm obviously home. I think you're home, or you've got a pretty darn cool government office building over there if you're not. It's hard sometimes in a hybrid environment or a remote environment to have just candid or natural conversations. I'm not walking past your desk and seeing you. How do you network effectively, build these relationships effectively in a hybrid environment?
No, that is a wonderful question to start us off with. I would say the answer is intentionality. See, I'm going to challenge everyone real quick to say, remember, this is not new. There were a lot of people working from home and working from remotely before COVID hit, and they were doing it. So it can be done, okay? So remember, it can be done. The second thing is you got to be intentional. I tell a real quick story. One of my really good friends, I brag on him all the time because he'll call me out the blue and say, hey, Alex, I got 5 minutes. I just want to check on you. How are you doing? How's your wife doing? How's life? Oh, great. Okay, that's wonderful. If we got to talk more, we'll call back. Got to take the kids. Talk to you later. Bye. Like that made me feel like, wow, like I really appreciated that relationship but last year I found out, I don't know how he slipped out, but he was like, Alex, yeah, I got you on my calendar. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I have a literal calendar invite that says ping Alex every 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious. Don't rely on motivation when you can rely on automation. Oh, I love that. See, you can literally develop a list of individuals who you want to be in a relationship with, put it on your calendar, tell yourself to ping these people every once in a while. Again, remember, you don't got to sit up here and spend 45 minutes, an hour with everyone. Literally pick up the phone and just say, hey, look, I'm about to jump into another meeting, but you pop top of mind. I'd love to just chat with you really quickly. If this is something new to you, use the method I talk about in my book, Reaching Senior Leadership, the FROM method, FROM. Ask someone first about where they're from and their family. Then ask the R, recreation. What do you do for fun? Then you want to talk about O, which is occupation, right? What is their job, how they get there, and so on and so forth. And last is money. Money is just really brass tacks. I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for this resource. Can you talk to this person for them, whatever it is? But remember, it starts off with family, where you're from, and recreation. Have some soft conversation. And if it takes you a couple calls to get to the real nitty gritty, what you want to do, let it take the time. Sometimes this takes time. Oh man, I know we don't got all day. I'm gonna be quiet, Emily. I'm gonna be quiet.
I will see you quiet, and I don't know if I believe it yet, but I bet it happens on occasion. All right, we are going to do these questions in rapid fire format, Alex, because we've got a ton of great ones coming in. This first one, it hits on something that a lot of folks are saying in here. I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I have some low self-esteem. Putting myself out there, not so darn easy. What advice do you have for those folks who might be more reticent than others to make the move in a networking world?
Okay, because we're going to do quick fire, I'm going to do quick answers, right? One, I just put in the chat box a little bit ago an interview by this guy named Damien on my podcast. I just put it back in right now. It's a great one. It'll tell if you have challenges kind of just starting it, listen to that podcast. Great. Really briefly, what I'll say is that don't believe the hype. Our society pushes that only people who can network effectively are those people who are super extroverted, who love to be out there talking to everybody. I'm really good at it. And I'd say I masquerade as an extrovert. I'm not. I don't like people. I mean, large groups of people. That's not my thing, right? And so what I know is because, I did that internal clarity, I understand where I'm more comfortable. And so because I don't like those large groups of people, I don't go to happy hours unless I absolutely have to. I intentionally go to spaces where I can talk to someone one-on-one or in a small group. And then intentionally, if I really want to talk to someone, I'll literally get their information afterwards and say, hey, I loved everything you said. I'm going to give you a call back and so we can have a one-on-one. I don't talk to people in front of other people because I don't feel as comfortable. So don't believe the hype. Introverts are actually, to be completely honest, they can be really effective networkers because they don't talk as much. They listen. And that's how you build relationships, is understanding who people are. Okay, back to you, Emily.
All right. So burnout has been a constant theme of this year's summit. We're all feeling it. So a couple questions were, how often do I have to do this networking thing? How often do I have to ping people? I'm already tired. How am I supposed to fit this in as well?
Yes, great question. Every day, all the time. Okay, I'll give you more. So, but I'm being facetious, but I'm being real. The reality is that the worst thing you want to do, and this is where most people mess up, is I need something. Let me go build a relationship to get there. Mm-hmm. Bad situation. You don't want to be in that situation. Whether it's networking to find your next opportunity or networking to find the resources to push your program, you don't want to be in a situation where you're having to reach out to someone for the first time and ask for something. Now you look like everybody else. You just want something. So you need to be consistently networking all the time, which then means that you don't have to do it as frequently if you're just integrating into your normal life. Set a goal. I'm going to reach out to, again, literally, if you're starting off, I'm going to reach out to one person every week on LinkedIn. That's 4 people. That's clicking invite 4 times. Do that. Because actually it's funny because you can use LinkedIn as a great networking tool because you can passively do it. Once you're connected to someone and you're posting stuff on your link, on your feed, or you're liking things, people will see what you're liking. People will see what you're posting. And so they're seeing your face, they're seeing your mind. And back to Ty's point, you're now you're getting into their unconscious. You're being very intentional, mm-hmm. where they're remembering you without you even having to say anything to them. So there's all these really great strategies that, again, you definitely should read the Reach and Senior Leadership book, but listen to the podcast, and there's a lot of really great resources to share there too.
All right, final question for you. I know a lot of us and a lot of folks in the chat have been mentioning this, that there's like this ick factor that sometimes you feel when you're networking. Like, I'm going to call Alex up and I'm going to be like, hey, Alex, I need you to speak at this conference that I'm doing. I'm asking you to do something. How do you not feel like icky about it or cheesy about it? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Look, what I would do, and this is my rule to myself, I have a rule. If I haven't reached out to someone, if I just haven't spoke to that person in a couple years, maybe a few months, I have a rule of 3 interactions before I ever ask for anything. Because then, like you said, it feels like an ill kind of thing. This is why you should consistently keep your network up, because then you can reach out. Again, Emily reached out to me one time, out of the blue, because we have this relationship. Hey, Alex, can you pitch it for a speaking gig? Sure. It didn't feel like that because Emily is being intentional. She checks at me every once in a while. This is what all of us should be doing. And again, be intentional with it. Create a list. Put it in your calendar. Those people who you know you need to keep a relationship with, do it. Just ping them every once in a while. Again, this is just a larger conversation. I'm sorry.
I love that. All right, close this out, Alex. What should we be walking away thinking about, knowing, learning?
So what I want to do is, again, in our last 5.5 minutes left, what I want to do is really quickly, again, encourage you to, read the book, Reach and Senior Leadership. It's a really great resource, especially the podcast and the YouTube. But I want to kind of jump on a point that Ty made. See, I want to talk about create your own norms first. The reality is that all of us, humans, are social beings. We're social creatures. And that means that we want to fit in. We don't like being ostracized. I mean, literally, one of the worst things you can do in prison is being put in what? Solitary confinement. Right? It'll drive you crazy. So, we will actually do things that are not in our own best interest just so we can fit into the groups. So what does that mean? That means that if you're in a group of people who aren't focused on growing themselves, who aren't focused on progressing in their career, who aren't focused on reaching these substantial goals that you said you're interested in, those uphill goals, then what's going to happen? You're going to start fitting in. And you may actually start minimizing the effort you put out because you don't want to stand out in your group. And again, the messed up part about this is this can be unconscious, completely unconscious. So what do? Do you fight what nature has created, these social norms? Do you fight it, peer pressure, or do you go along with it? I'm a fan of going along with it. Go along with it. Just create your own group. If you can create and bring together a group of individuals who are focused on progressing, who are focused on growing themselves, who are focused on finding new ways to reach those uphill goals that we were just talking about. If you can surround yourself with those type of people, then peer pressure actually works in your benefit. So please, please, please be very intentional with the company you keep. And then the second thing I want to leave us with is use fear. So again, people like to say fear is bad. Oh, I got to overcome my fear. I'm afraid of it. Fear's not bad. The reality of it is if we weren't afraid, we'd all be dead, actually. We'd be doing backflips off our houses and all of us wouldn't be alive anymore. Fear is required. Fear is not good nor bad. Fear is fear. It just is. So how do you use that to your advantage? Well, fear is like working out. After you've worked out for a while, it's when it starts to hurt a little bit and you push through it, that's when the muscles are getting stronger. Then after a while, it's easy, right? Okay. But the only way to then up your muscle is to go back through that pain. Well, the same thing happens for fear. So you're only afraid of things that you haven't done. Once you've done it a couple times, it becomes easy. And so use fear to your advantage. Look back at your life. I'm challenging you right now. Look back at your life and say, hey, when was the last time I felt a little nervous? And I felt a little uneasy. Okay, can I really accomplish this? If you haven't felt that in a while, that means you're not growing. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is look back in your life and check yourself every once in a while. Shoot, have I done anything hard recently? And again, that's what I do for my own life. When I feel like I haven't done anything hard or I haven't reached out to someone ridiculous, I reach out for ridiculous people, then I know it's time for me to do it again. So use fear for your advantage. Create your own norms. Create those really great groups around you. Keep listening to freaking awesome people like Ty and myself and Emily and her crew. And as I like to always end all of my talks, stay strong, stay positive, definitely stay moving. Thank you.
No, thank you, Alex. You really brought us to a wonderful conclusion today, but nobody go anywhere because we have a few final thoughts for you to walk away from today. So, Sheila, the floor is yours. What do you got for us?
Thank you. And thank you so much to both Ty and Alex for sharing your inspiring stories and so many pearls of wisdom. We really appreciate it. And I know it makes me excited to get back to work tomorrow. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's now time for our final poll of NextGen 2022. But before we do get to that, I want to take this opportunity to just say that it's been an absolute pleasure to share this time with everyone. And here are 5 things I want to leave you with. First, you're exactly where you need to be at this moment, and remember to enjoy the space between where you are now and where you're going. And that journey is so important. Secondly, the government needs you. It's people like you who will shape and transform our government for the better. And next, trust yourself. You know more than you think you do, and your voice matters, so make sure to use it. And also remember that you are powerful, strong, and capable. And don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. And then finally, just remember that you have this. You've survived so much, whether it's government shutdowns over the past few years, political uncertainties, a pandemic. You're stronger and smarter for it. So here's to making the best of the remainder of 2022. And now for our last poll. So this one's pretty simple. Will you be back for NextGen 2023? And I know I'll be back here in 2023 for NextGen. So from YGL, I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today.
Definitely. And thank you so much, Sheila, for joining me on our moderation stage. I think it is amazing to have heard from so many wonderful, strong, and capable speakers that we've had throughout today. And we're just so appreciative of not only all of our speakers for dedicating their time, but for you coming along the journey as well. All right, let's see the poll results. And a whopping 75% of you will be back, which we definitely are excited to see for sure. Before we log off today, though, I would be remiss if I did not thank our NextGen Partner Alliance one last time for making today possible. Their generous support has allowed us to provide this year's summit for free for all government attendees. The 2022 NextGen Partner Alliance members are Red Hat, Rubrik, GEHA, Blue Cross Blue Shield, American University School of Public Affairs, and Government White Papers. Thank you all so much for making this summit a reality. We would not be able to do it without you. And we also would not be able to put on this summit without the entire GovLoop team. You've seen some of our faces, but not all in today's virtual summit. So I want to take a quick second to shout out our entire team. We've got Doug, John, Leah, Karina, Amy, Jessica, Casey, Caitlin, Pearl, Maddie, Jacqueline, Blake, Callista, Andrew, Julia, Candace, Kelly, and Eric. Thank you all so much for all the behind the scenes work that you do every day to make NextGen a reality. From all of us to all of you, thank you so much for attending NextGen. Go out, do good work, and we will see you at our next NextGen.